And Phil, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. I'm Philip Lupov. I work at the Alumni Relations. We organize different hybrid in-person and on Zoom meetings for the entire alumni population. Always are interested in arranging something interesting for you. So if you have any ideas about what can draw attention of your classmates and what is interesting to you selves specifically, then let me know. And we know that the career related things are always interesting. This semester we have an array of interesting speakers hosted by Terry. So Terry, over to you.
Oh, thank you very much. So I am the Alumni Career Services Counselor, and once again, I've met some of you and not others, so I certainly hope you'll outreach to me. There'll be plenty of time at the end of Jeannie's presentation for Q&A, so definitely think about your questions as we go. And I am just beyond thrilled to welcome Jeanniey Walden today to give a presentation to all of our alumni. Extremely thrilled. I've known Jeannie for quite a while from previous roles, and I just want to give you a little information about her, and she's going to share quite a bit more. But she's an award-winning Chief Innovation and Marketing Officer, and she transforms the way companies work to accelerate their growth and their brand impact. She is a host on the national daytime TV show Liftoff with Jeanniey Walden. I know she'll have a lot more to tell you about. That's her newest venture. She's a marketing focused entrepreneur at heart, and she's founded 6 companies and led global marketing initiatives across both Fortune 500 and startups. She most recently was the Chief Information and Marketing Officer at DailyPay, a unicorn fintech company. And also recognized a woman in business. She's a very sought after public speaker and frequently shares her business insights on nationally syndicated and major market television and radio shows. So I'm only going to share a few of her accolades because it would take, quite frankly, the entire hour to share all of her accolades with you, but a few. She was named Top Marketer of the Year by the International Association of Top Professionals. Jeannie is one of the top 25 women leaders in financial technology, and that is from Financial Technology Report. She has been Women of the Year in the 17th Annual Stevie Awards for Women in Business, and finally one of the 10 prominent women role models in fintech from around the world, from global fintech. I couldn't be more thrilled to hand the floor over to Jeannie. All yours, Jeannie.
Hey, thanks so much, Terry. And it is so great to be able to have the opportunity to spend the afternoon with all of you that are live on this call, and for those of you that will be watching the recording. So thanks for spending an hour with us. And I just have to thank Terry for inviting me to be a part of today's conversation. Every time I spend any time with Terry, I learn so much more and feel like I've come out a better person. So I encourage all of you to reach out to Terry, and whatever questions or items that you need help with, I guarantee you that she will put her whole heart into it and help you be successful. So I have some slides. I'm going to pull them up. I'm going to share them in slideshow mode, but if you have questions as we go, please do raise your hand or let me know, or you can save them till the end. So just so you're all can follow along, there are 15 slides. This is number 1. So we'll spend a couple minutes on each one. But Terry asked me to come today and talk about today's job market. So that's what I'm going to do. And to sum it up, today's job market, no matter how challenging it might look to you right now, is truly a stellar opportunity for each one of you that's listening into this conversation right now. And the reason that it's a stellar opportunity is because the world we live in is continuously changing. Since March 2020, when COVID, came and hit us all, the labor market has twisted and turned in ways that nobody could imagine. I mean, nobody expected to be quarantined. Nobody expected COVID to last more than a few weeks. Nobody expected to have to realign their businesses. Restaurants during COVID were drilling holes in the side of their actual restaurants so they could do takeout, so they could stay open. I mean, the world changed so dramatically. And along with it, it created a whole series of economic changes that caused some industries to thrive and caused other industries to kind of retreat. And now in today's market, where we're looking at just continuous changes to the economy, it means there's continuous changes on the job market. But what that means for all of you that are tuning in is it means whatever your dream is, it can be attained at this point in time while you're looking for a job. You might just need to take different or more creative approaches to looking for a job than you would have thought of in the past, or than you would have learned previously in school or in job networking and research classes. And the key right now, meaning this very day, to getting a great job doing something you want, isn't staying up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week and applying to every single job that you see come by. It's actually networking and finding people that are connected to the companies that you want to work with or the job that you want to have, and looking for ways to stand out. And so we're going to talk about that. We'll just get started. I think it's really important for me to have any credibility for this conversation to share with you my journey, just so you understand where I'm coming from. I mean, Terry read my bio to you, but let me just tell you, I started out with a master's in teaching. I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. I couldn't find a teaching job when I graduated, like could not for the life of me. I was student teaching. I was making $50 a day. I was borrowing money from my dad so that I could do the laundry so I could go to my next student teaching job. It was a nightmare. And I got a job at JCPenney in the customer service division as a rep, just so I could get enough money to pay the bills. And what I quickly learned there was, if I did a good job as a customer service rep, I could win awards, and I could win water bottles and sweatshirts and gift cards. And then I learned really quickly that business has an opportunity to pay a lot more than teaching did. But when I was promoted to customer service team manager, not like anything significant, I just now all of a sudden 6 people reported to me. I also realized that all my education in teaching and my regular undergrad degree in psychology was super relevant, and I could apply all of that to this group of 6 people that reported to me, just in a different way. I wasn't teaching first graders anymore. I was teaching stay-at-home moms. I was teaching people out of the military. I was teaching retired people how to just do a better job. And I realized that it didn't matter what my education was in from a college perspective. Whatever I learned could be applicable to what I was doing at the time. And so I started this great journey with 7 years at JCPenney, really just learning. Whatever job they offered me, I took. I was offered a job to walk around the offices in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and identify on a blueprint where all the outlets were so that we could change the floor placement. Not what I went to school for, probably under my pay grade, but didn't care because I learned all about electric wiring, and I learned how to do a floor plan, and I learned about architecture, which came in handy later on when I grew up. Left JCPenney after 7 years, and I went to work for an ad agency. Never worked in an ad agency before, never went to New York City before, learned all about the ad agency world, and by default got to work with investment companies. And my career over the past 30 years has truly been just about taking whatever opportunity presents itself to me and learning the most I can from it. And one of the things that I've learned along my career, and I'm skipping a whole lot of jobs and I'm happy to share with you if you want to have a conversation after this, is whatever you know in your heart, whatever you love to do, if you're a creator, if you're a designer, if you love architecture, if you love law, and whatever your degree is in, is a great backdrop that will enable you to do whatever job you take and do it better and give you the opportunity to learn new skills, which makes you more marketable. And early on in your career, you want to become as marketable as possible. So you don't want to hold out for the perfect job. You want to try the jobs that come your way, learn the most you can, meet people, and then find the way into new jobs. And when you do your best at any job, somebody will take you under their wing. And I just was reading on LinkedIn today a study that said people need to have at least 3 mentors in their journey for careers. And along the way, you'll meet great people that inspire you, that you feel like you can relate to. Maybe they had the same background as you, maybe they had the same challenges as you. And if you ask them to help you, they will. So fast forward literally 30 years that I've been working, I was doing a lot of press interviews at my last job, and I was approached by a producer. I thought I was going to be asked to be on another interview, and she asked me if I wanted to host a TV show on national TV. And that was crazy. I've never hosted a TV show on national TV. I'm over 50 years old. I had a great job, but I thought, this sounds awesome. And I love speaking in front of people. I love inspiring people. So why the heck not? So my career went from an undergrad in psychology with a children's literature certificate and a minor in sign language to a master's in teaching to being a national TV show talk show host. So it's crazy. Your career will change a million times as you go through your journey. The thing to keep in mind is that you always want to be open, because as your interests change, the market is also changing. And even though there's 11 million open jobs right now, you might feel like there's no open jobs that fit what you're looking for, because there's more jobs open than there are people to work in them. But there's not the right match in open jobs to people's interest in those jobs. And that's what stops a lot of people right now in the workplace from finding happiness with a job or a career. They get dead set on finding something in a category that interests them, and that is the only thing that they will accept. And they turn down opportunities in areas that they never considered working in before, but are opening up. And there's different ways to utilize any open job to help you reach your career goals. So right now, there's a deficit of workers in food services, in the retail trade industry, in construction, and always in healthcare, in home healthcare specifically. You might think, I don't want to do any of those jobs. I don't want to be a waiter or a waitress. I'm not interested in doing construction. But I will tell you that during the pandemic, if you would have been one of the people that took the job at the grocery store that was open, that was desperately seeking people, you probably would have been in management right now, because a lot of these open roles in areas that don't sound exactly as appealing as what you went to college for promote very quickly from within, and they invest very heavily in management training. So one of the things you might want to consider if you're looking for a job is looking at the jobs that are open and asking the questions about what the opportunities for advancements are right now. Because you'll find, I mean, I don't know anybody, I've never spoken to anybody. I talked to a lot of people who woke up one day and said, when I grow up, I want to be a grocery store executive. I don't know who grows up and dreams that. I'm sure somebody does. Yet during the pandemic, more grocery store executives were created than the 10 years prior to the pandemic. So it's pretty fascinating to see what the opportunity is. Whoop, I was gonna check, here we go. Now my slides are all messed up because I was trying to check and see what the chat said. So sorry about that. So what about people who have been applying in retail jobs and don't hear anything back? All right, great question, Pauline. This can be answered simply by saying networking. The other thing that's happening right now, and we'll talk about this in a minute, is there are so many people that are desperately looking for jobs and are very frustrated in their job search. They are truly, and I'm not joking, applying for every job that comes across their desk. So I have my own business with my TV show. I've got a TV show, I've got a podcast, I do consulting, I do a bunch of stuff. I was looking for a sales rep to help me sell media sponsorships. I opened a job on LinkedIn. I put the job post on LinkedIn and it said, media and publishing sales rep, experience required. Within 3 minutes, 3 actual minutes, I had over 50 resumes. I looked at the first 10, and out of the first 10, only 2 people had ever worked in media at all. One was an architect, one was a lawyer, one did sales for pharmaceuticals. So I started calling people that applied for my job that had no experience in my industry whatsoever. And I said, hey, why would you want to go from being an architect to being a media salesperson for a TV show? And what everybody was saying was, I'm not hearing back from anybody, so I'm just applying to everything. And unfortunately, that's a problem right now, because what's happening behind the scenes with bots that are looking at all of the incoming resumes or services like Indeed is these people, these companies and these bots are putting caps on inbound resumes. So you might have an incredible resume, you might have incredible experience. Your resume is probably not being seen by the talent team that posted that open job because they are getting flooded by people that are not qualified for the role. So if you're not hearing back, what you need to do is you need to find the hiring team on LinkedIn, through email, or through any other type of networking, and reach out to them directly, a personal email to them, getting introduced by a friend that knows somebody that works at the company, finding somebody else at the company. And, I'll make this offer. I told Tara I would. If you follow me on LinkedIn, my name is pretty unique. It's Jeanniey Walden. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you are more than welcome to look at any of my 22,000 connections. And if any of them can help you get connected closer to a role that you're looking for, I'm more than happy to make an introduction. It is almost the only way that people are getting hired today. Almost to the point where people are not even posting jobs that are open anymore on job search networks as frequently as they have. Instead, they're sending them out word of mouth. So if you're looking for a job but can't get hired, then it means that it's just an overabundance of applications and you need to find a new way in. So the other thing that's happening though is people are being panicked for no reason. If you looked at LinkedIn recently, it looks very sad. And this makes people nervous, which causes them to apply for literally every job that's out there. This chart over here, I think, puts everything in perspective. These are huge jobs: Microsoft, Google, CRM, Amazon, Meta, Spotify. CRM is Salesforce. That the purple are how many headcount they grew since the pandemic. The orange is how many people are laid off. Yet all you see on LinkedIn, if you look on the right side of the screen, are messages from people saying, I was affected, I was affected, I was affected. And for everything we talk about with just social media impact on people's anxiety levels, this is a job anxiety issue just being unleashed throughout any job search board. You'll also see it on Glassdoor. You'll also see it on any of the other and Fishbowl or any of the other sites where people are frequently talking about looking for jobs. It looks like the market is bad, but when you put it in perspective, every company is hiring right now. So what is happening and what is it that you need to do? And I think the first thing is to keep things in perspective. Employers are planning to hire 14.5, almost 15% more college graduates from the class of 2023 than they did in the class of 2022. More jobs have opened up, even though it might not feel that way to you. And that was just recently from a report that Yale did off of the NACE's Outlook report. So the jobs are out there. It's all about networking, and that's what we're going to talk about for the next few slides. And here's why you want to start networking and you want to look for a full-time job. Gig work is getting crowded. So what you're seeing right now is during the pandemic and prior to the pandemic, creator economy, gig work started to blossom. People were losing their jobs and they needed to make money to support their needs, their family needs. They started doing gig work. They started delivering, doing DoorDash. They started driving Ubers. They started just, popping on Fiverr or Upwork or all of the sites where they could easily get the amount of dollars that they need to supplement the income that may have been cut or that they lost. But now it's getting really crowded because over 50% of retail workers' hours are getting cut. Retail is hiring, but they're hiring in different roles than just being on the show floor these days. They're hiring in the back rooms, they're hiring in the warehouses, they're hiring for online e-commerce. So if you're a retail store worker, you're finding that you're getting less hours. And these are the people that are going and saying, hey, what kind of gig work can I get to make up the difference? 32% of tip-based workers saw a reduction in tips over the past 6 months. That means people are looking for more gig work to make ends meet. And 68% of people that are looking for work are trying gig work just to make ends meet. So if your plan is, I'm not going to worry about looking for a full-time job, I'm going to just do gig work while I try and figure out what I want to do, don't do that. If your strategy is, I'm going to do gig work until I find my perfect job of my career as a one-legged animal veterinarian, you're probably going to be finding a hard time short term until you can find that niche role that you're looking for. So what you need to understand is it's much better to look for a full-time job right now and start to gain experience in a business setting where you can understand how businesses run and get that broader base and start to look at management opportunities and tracks than to just bide your time with gig working in the meantime. I'm not saying don't get gig working to pay your bills. Everybody needs to pay their bills. Everybody needs to pick up projects. I'm just saying it's not the strategy to rely on permanently. So other things you need to know about today's job market. And this one is a little bit of a bummer slide, but it's a good reality check. Because the economy is changing, because eggs are 87% more expensive than they were a year ago, because raises are not keeping up with inflation, employees are staying longer at their jobs that they're at. And they're also taking new jobs at lower salaries. So a year ago, new people coming into the job market or people looking for new jobs, it was the employees' job market. They could say, I want to work remotely, I want to make this salary, and if I don't like it here, I might not even show up after my second day. I'm going to accept 3 jobs and I'm going to see which one I like the best, and then I'll eventually stay at that one. That's not happening anymore. It's starting to change because people are looking for job consistency. So what that means for you is you need to appreciate that in a company that used to have a lot of turnover, they might not have that anymore. So instead of setting your sights on, I only want to work at Procter & Gamble, that's the only place I want to spend my life, you might want to consider expanding that into any consumer packaged goods business. Maybe look at Unilever also, maybe look at other brands, because you're going to need to leave your options open. Same as what I had to do when I graduated and was looking for a teaching job, and teachers were staying longer. Companies are closing open roles faster, and they're expecting more from their current team. I have heard so many stories from people that said, oh my God, I aced this interview. I made it to the final round. I'm just negotiating with them on salary, only to find out that the company changed their mind and the job is no longer open anymore. Nothing to do with them. They were the right candidate, but it took too long to put somebody in that role. And the executives at the business said, hey, let's cut costs and let's get existing people to just pick up those items that are in that role. You don't need an additional person anymore, or you don't need to replace that. So if you do get an opportunity to work at a company, take it. You can always look for another job and switch later, but don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Similarly, if somebody sends you an email and says, hey, I saw you applied for this job, can you give me your thoughts on how you'd approach it? Can you tell me what you think you could bring to the job? Don't think about it for 3 or 4 days. Get your best thoughts together as expeditiously as possible, because you may be competing with a time clock, which has nothing to do with you being the best or worst candidate. It has to do with a company's decision to keep a job open. And the last item to consider is that job seekers are applying for everything, right? We talked about this. It's making it really hard to break through. So I said it 3 times already. I told Terry it would be the underlying comment. If you walk away from this conversation with anything, it is to find a job in today's market. Applications are not enough. Cover letters are great. They help, but they're not enough. You need to network with the company that has the open role and find a human connection there that can be your advocate inside the organization and help you to stand out. Doesn't guarantee you the job, but if Terry was applying at my company and I knew Terry and said to my CEO, hey, there's this great person who's applying, you should look at her resume, or had said to the head of HR, there's this great person, Terry, I've worked with her a number of times in the past, you should look at her resume, at least it's going to get consideration versus Terry's resume being up against 150 resumes that are not qualified at all for the application and everything gets thrown out. Those are important things to keep in mind. So now that I gave you some realities, I just want you to know that you've got this. You absolutely can get a job in this market that will not only set you up for immediate success and ability to pay your bills, but also for a great career. And I want to spend a few minutes talking about how, and then we'll go into all the questions that are coming through the chat. So the real thing that you want to do is to breathe air. So AIR is an acronym that I created a long time ago that remains relevant, especially when we're talking about job searching. If you use this approach, you will be able to grab an employer's attention right from the start, and you'll be able to keep them engaged as you're interviewing and hopefully can then get that job offer and land that job. So AIR stands for being authentic, being inspirational, and being relatable. So what I mean by authentic, it's that networking again, is you need to ask for help. There is nothing wrong, and you saw it on that LinkedIn page where people are posting on LinkedIn. I hate to say I was caught in these layoffs after 4 great years with XYZ. I'm no longer employed. That's the world today. Nobody is looking at you saying, oh my God, I can't believe you graduated 6 months ago and still can't find a job. Something's wrong with you. Nobody's saying, wow, you just started that job a month ago and now you're out of a job. What's wrong with you? About 10 years ago, 20 years ago, somebody might have said that, but today it's so commonplace that you should be authentic when you ask for help. You shouldn't call your friends and connections and say, hey, well, I'm doing great at XYZ company, but, I really would feel like, I just need to upgrade into this new role. You don't need to create Instagram life or Facebook life and make everything sound great. Don't want to sound like you're desperate either, but when you network, it is absolutely fine to be authentic and say, hey, look, I'd really love to break into the retail space. I've got a little experience, but I've got a lot of experience internships in gymnastics. Can you help me make some connections, or can you help me think about how I can adjust my resume or cover letter to position me for an entry role? And really tell people what you're looking for and just be straight up with them. Because if you're straight up and say, look, I've never done this before, I don't know how to do it, then the person can give you the help that you need. If you just say, hey, do you know John from XYZ company? I'm applying for the role of, QRW, that's not going to necessarily help you much. They might know that person, but they're not going to know what your story is, what your situation is. You might have a great story. I was speaking 2 days ago to a person that's they're a junior, they're looking for an internship this summer, and they received, a response back from an employer that said, great, if I was to bring you on as an intern, how would you help me with my marketing? And they called and said, hey, here's what I would do. Can you take a look at this and tell me what you would do? Because I want to sound smart, but I don't want to sound like I know everything. And we worked on it together, crafted an answer, and she got the internship. Now, it wasn't me doing her homework for her. And it was really, she came with an idea, she tried her best, but she was also able to call and say, I don't really know that much about this type of marketing. So can you give me some pointers for what this company might be looking for? So be authentic when you network. Ask for what you need help with, know yourself and know what your needs are, and that's going to get you the best help. Second is be inspirational. Give employers a reason to care. When you're reaching out in that cover letter, the cover letter is where you shine. It's like your bio. It's like what you would put on a dating site. You want to give employers a reason to care about you and wanting to have you be a part of their company as much as you wanting to be a part of theirs. So if you're going out and saying to people, oh, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I'm great at this, like, really, who cares? So great, you're great, and so are 150 other people whose resumes I got as well. But if you can draw some type of inspirational connection, then you have a much bigger chance at succeeding. Maybe it's as simple as, you know, I was in the ROTC program and I see that your company really supports veterans. I'd love to work at your company. I bring the skill set and I also have a great connection to veteran community and to the military. Maybe we could talk. Oh, I see that you went, I'm from Pittsburgh. Anybody that grew up in Pittsburgh knows, like, unknown fact, unless you grew up in Pittsburgh, that when you order a salad there, they put French fries on it. So one day I got an email from someone that wanted to work for me, a daily pay, and they said, hey, I'd love to be considered for this open job. I'm from Pittsburgh too, so if I get it, I'll buy you a salad and I'll bring the French fries, right? So right then and there, I felt like I had a connection with this person and I was inspired to help a fellow hometown person at least get considered for the job. So look for ways that you can inspire employers to fall in love with you. It's small, it's subtle, but it's some type of personal connection. It also shows them that you spent the time to do the research. Because when you're applying for jobs, again, if you're the architect that it's applying for the media sales job at a TV show and you know nothing about the TV industry or media, why do I want to talk to you? If you're an architect looking to switch careers that spent some time watching my media reels and can come in and write, I'm really great from a creative perspective, and I think creatively I could position this TV show in a unique way. I'm looking to switch careers. Maybe I want to talk to you. That's a whole different story, but it's positioned in a different way that seems more inspirational. And the last is be relatable. Nobody wants to listen to somebody that doesn't think that they understand where they are coming from. So on this conversation today, all of you are sitting there in the first 5 minutes of this conversation and thinking, wait, does she even relate to me? Did she ever need to look for a job? Did she graduate and go right into management and it was very easy for her and now she's going to give me examples? No, I spent the time at the beginning to tell you, look, I graduated with a master's degree and I couldn't make it work. And I ended up in a totally different career, which took me into 17 different careers over a 30-year period. You want to find a way to relate to the person or the company that you are connecting with by understanding what their needs are. And this is most often overlooked by job seekers. It's not about, I think I could do the best job as your retail store manager because I've been a retail store manager for 53 years. You have to look at the company's performance and understand what they're looking for. Maybe you're applying for a job at a retail store that just recently did their earnings report and announced that their earnings were down because they're not getting as much in-store traffic as they thought. So when you're applying, it's just as important for you to say, I'm applying for this job. I know that you're challenged to get people in the store. If you hire me, I can help you with that. Because now you're relatable to the business need that they're trying to solve. Any company that opens a role has validated that there is some business need, they need this role to exist. That means, basic terms, they think by hiring this role, it's going to make their company more money. You need to figure out how you are going to make them understand how you can help them make more money and to appreciate that they need to improve their results and make more money because businesses exist for one thing, to make money. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. So they are looking to have a great culture, but they don't exist to build a culture. They don't exist to create management opportunities. They don't exist to give people the best salaries that they can. They exist because the founder of their company felt they were solving a need and that they could profit from that. Every business is looking to increase their sales and profits. You need to figure out how you relate into their current economic story. And that's the piece that almost everybody forgets to do, regardless of what level you are looking for a job, but it's probably the most important piece that you could look at. So I came up with some examples for the last few slides of just, putting it in real life terms instead of just me talking at you. And the first is being authentic, right? So here's the story. Tom loves soccer. He started networking at practice and he met players at companies who were hiring, literally by doing what he loved and playing soccer. While Tom looked for a full-time job, a marketing role, he led the fundraising team for his soccer division. So what did this do, right? One, it allowed him to meet with people that he had like-minded items and traits with. They all loved to play soccer. People knew him because they knew him as a great teammate. He took on a leadership role for the soccer team, so it showed people that he also wants to take on a leadership role. So therefore, the people that played soccer with him that had open roles were super willing to help introduce Tom to their companies for a marketing job, because it showed them that just as a person, his authentic self was all about understanding how to have a great time, loved being a leader and supporting people, and was super authentic. So your degree is great. It really is, but it is not enough. You have other skills that you probably aren't even looking at right now. Sometimes I do a speech called "What's Your Superpower?" You are great at something. I guarantee it. It might just be making coffee in the morning. Like, who knows what it is, but whatever you're good at, leverage that in your job search. If you love coffee, start networking at Starbucks or Blue Bottle or anywhere where there's coffee. Go online and join a coffee group and just start talking to people about coffee. And after you introduce yourself to that group and you're accepted as a coffee lover, start looking around and saying, yeah, I'm a coffee lover. I'd love to work in physical therapy. I just don't know where to start. And you will find other people that work in your industry through being authentic and being who you are. So the next one is be inspirational, right? Frank could not get a second interview, so he started sending thank you videos. Not thank you emails, not thank you text. He started sending a video. But in his videos, he demonstrated his ability to speak multiple languages, something that never came up in the job interviews. But the interviews that he went on when he researched the companies, he found that they had offices in multiple countries. He didn't give up. After sending a number of these thank you videos, it broke through, and finally a company saw him and said, wow, he would be great for this financial analyst role. And it is so amazing that he also speaks 5 languages. We could also probably use his help at town halls and company meetings. So again, being inspirational isn't necessarily about hardcore just looking at the skills that you learned in school or the skills that you've learned on your job. It's trying to figure out what is unique about you that can help you break through. A cover letter is key. It is absolutely critical right now, but it's not going to be the only way to get through. And the last piece is be relatable. Companies with open roles are looking to get the most out of each new employee. I already said that, right? Businesses are here to make money. An open role equates to incremental revenue or incremental profits by a company. That is what they care about. You both need each other. Companies can't drive revenue without people who do a great job supporting the company products and services. People need jobs so that they can get paid and have a great life and pay their bills. So you want to give companies the benefit of the doubt, but really understand why they're hiring that job. Is it an expansion of an existing role? Are they replacing somebody who didn't do a great job? So you're coming in with expectations set high that you're going to be better than the last person? Is it something that they're just considering testing out to see if it works? Once you understand how companies are being impacted by the economy and why that role is open, which you might learn during the interview process, it's a great question to ask. Hey, why are you looking to fill this role? Maybe if it's a retail job, you find out, look, so many people call off right now. We just can't get enough people. So this role is really a backup. There you go. You just got a huge clue. People are calling off. That means companies are not making the profits they need because they're having to pay overtime for people to fill those spots. That means they're looking for somebody that's reliable, because if you show up on time for all of your shifts, then guess what? You're saving them all that overtime money they had to pay. So you become a huge asset immediately. And if you can understand it from their perspective, then you'll be able to say, look, you can call my last 3 employers, or you can talk to my last 2 internships. I have a 100% time and attendance rate. I will always be here. You won't have to pay me overtime unless you really want me to. And that way it gives people the benefit, and the hiring manager will say, wow, they really understand what we need. They're really relating to what the company needs, and they're really relating to helping our business grow. They'll be a great asset. So there's 3 things to do beyond this. First of all, write it down, always be authentic, inspirational, and relatable. But beyond that, the basics. Ensure your resume is properly formatted. This means create a cover letter. Absolutely follow up with the hiring manager after applying, not after the interview. If you applied to a job at Acme grocery store and you know the local manager's name up the street at your local Acme because it's on the sign, general manager is Mary Smith, find that person on LinkedIn, stop in the store, just say, hey, I just wanted to let you know I applied for a job. I really hope to work here. If you can do anything to help me get an interview, I'd really appreciate it. Find the hiring manager, get in touch with them. Don't leave it up to the gods and goddesses of LinkedIn and other job boards. Connect to everyone on this call on LinkedIn. So right now there's 20 participants on this call. That means there's 20 connections to help you find your next job that you might not have connected with and asked for help from yet. It might mean that somebody on this call's cousin is the senior vice president at a company that you're dying to work for, or somebody else might know someone's aunt who just happens to be looking for a summer intern at a company that you would love to get experience and exposure in because it sounds like it'd be a great place to work. Let the people know what you're looking for, ask them for help, see how you can help them, because help is not a one-way street. You always want to pay it forward. I always am looking for ways to help people. I was on the phone earlier with an old colleague of mine, and she was telling me how frustrated she is with her current job and that she's starting to look for another job. And I immediately said, hey, 2 recruiters reached out to me last week. We're in 2 different industries. I said, I know they're not in your industry, but let me make an introduction. Maybe they can connect you to the hiring managers in their industries. You always want to help people because the world is a really, really small place, and it will always come back to, if you do good things to help other people, good things will come back for you. And my third piece of advice is, if you are in a job search hunt, apply for 2 new jobs a day. 2 is manageable. I usually say 5. 2 is non-excusable to not get done. Find 2 new jobs that you want to apply for. Even if it feels like all you're doing is applying for jobs, apply for them on day 1. Then follow up with 2 jobs that you previously applied for a week later. Never stop following up until you hear from the company, I am sorry, we're not hiring right now, or great, we'll have you in on an interview. If you just went into a dead zone, that means your resume probably didn't make it to the right person and they haven't seen it. It doesn't mean the company's not interested in you. But what happens is it cascades. If you apply for 2 jobs every single day and you go back and follow up with 2 applications every single day, within a month, you're going to have, if you just take days of the week and not the weekends, you're going to have 40 applications out there. Within 2 months, you're going to have 80. Now, of course, some of them are going to fall off. Some of them you're going to interview for. But if you keep doing that, you'll always have a plethora of jobs that you could be seeking. And don't give up. Don't be short-sighted. Don't not take a job because you think it's in a different industry than you might be interested in. Don't not take a job because the salary's okay, but it's not exactly what you were looking for. Take a chance and take a job. You never know what will happen. When I took the job at JCPenney, I never expected to spend 7 years there. They offered me a job to go from customer service manager to collections department manager. I was 23 years old, and I managed a team of 30 women who had been doing JCPenney credit card debt collections for over 30 years. They had been working in that job longer than I had been alive. And I was all of a sudden their boss. I had no clue what to do. I was a teacher who was working on customer support and customer success over in the customer service team, where questions were easy things like, can I return shoes to my sister's store? Can I apply for a job? Do you have salon services in Wisconsin? Now, all of a sudden, I'm working with women who had been doing a job longer than I had been alive, and they were way older than even my parents were. And I had to really stop and think, what can I learn from this? I can learn how to build a team. I can learn a lot from these women. I can learn how to be a better leader and a manager and see where it takes me. It took me to Dallas, Texas from Pittsburgh, where I got a promotion to work on customer relations and building the brand. I'd never built branding before. So your career will take you places you never expected, you never even knew existed. When I was younger, I wanted to be a veterinarian, a cashier, or a teacher. So thankfully, I did not become a full-time cashier, and I set my bar a little bit higher than that. But I did become a cashier in between jobs, and I loved it. I had a great time. I never became a veterinarian, although I have owned almost every animal on the planet and currently have 1 mouse, 2 bunnies, and a gecko in our house. And, I became a teacher, but today I teach in different ways, like these types of conversations with all of you through my TV show, and bringing interesting advice and education and knowledge and tips, and just with people that I'm working with. So your dreams will come true. It just might not be the way that you thought they might. So with that said, I'm going to open it up to the chat and look at all the questions that we have and see how we can get some more conversations going. But I really appreciate everyone's time today. And absolutely, Alexis, Jeanniey Walden on LinkedIn, easiest way to get a hold of me, connect to me on LinkedIn, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I have a meeting after this conversation. I will get back to you in the next day or so. I'm happy to spend time with people and see however I can help. And I will also put my email address in here. I know, Terry, do you have any other comments or thoughts?
Oh my gosh, yes. First of all, unbelievable. So thank you so much. Networking that word comes out of my mouth at least 25 times a day when I'm speaking with alumni, students, friends, anyone. And, I'm here because of networking and relationship building. So I can't stress that enough as well. Excuse me. I'm going to put in the name of something in the chat. It's called Setter Connect, SETTER. If you just, here we go. If you just Google that and put PACE after it, that's PACE's alumni site. It's a platform with about 1,000 alumni at the moment and growing, and you can connect with alumni. You can search by industry. There are resources on there. It's an excellent resource. And then thirdly, before I hand the floor back to Jeanniey, go on LinkedIn, go on PACE's page and click on alumni. There are 86,000 alumni, PACE alumni on LinkedIn. And then you can do searches by whatever you'd like and reach out to them. So these are really warm introductions, versus networking can be scary, but if you're, networking with somebody who you have something in common with, to Jeanniey's point, I think it's a lot less scary. So Jeanniey, thank you. Once again, I think there might be some questions for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just going to go through it from the top of the chat to the bottom and try and knock through all these in the last 10 minutes. So, Pauline asked, what about people who have been applying to retail service jobs and don't hear anything back? Like I said, if you haven't heard back, your resume probably didn't make it through. Connect with somebody that works at the companies you want to work with and look for a different way in. And also, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to say this is also one of the bad things to do. You can also always reapply because it is possible, like truly, if you post a job on Indeed.com, a company pays for X number of resumes, it might be 1,000. If your application was 1,001, that employer is not even seeing it. So, you might also want to wait a couple weeks and reapply. So what are my thoughts on staffing companies? I love staffing companies. I love working with staffing companies. It depends. I mean, different staffing companies have different levels of quality and different areas of focus. It's never bad to find employment through a staffing company to get started. There's a lot of great potential careers that can be built. Also a great idea to ask staffing companies if they have any training programs or if there's any big businesses that are looking to hire en masse that you could be part of a consideration set for. And what I mean by that is sometimes these staffing companies will get assignments from large corporations saying, hey, I need to find 115 developers. And if they look through their staffing book of people that are available, they have no developers, and they will get to the point where they were actually train interested people on becoming developers so that they could fill the request from the corporation. So you might want to check with that. That's a little unknown tip there. You said there were more jobs than people. How come so many people are mass applying? A couple different reasons. First of all, I didn't give you the stat, but only 35% of open jobs are posted on job search networks. So what it means is if you see a job that's posted on Indeed or LinkedIn, it's getting mass amounts of applications because it's just very visible to people who are stressed out, and they're also getting automated messages from Indeed, from LinkedIn saying, hey, this might be a good job fit for you, and they're just clicking on easy apply and sending it in. So it's really just the way that companies and different sites are marketing the jobs. They're just more visible. But what it means is 65% of jobs are under applied for because people just don't know they're out there. So it's really good to network and say, hey, do you know of any open jobs in these areas? Let's see, another question. Here's the problem. How would you solve this? Here's the problem I would solve. Approach for someone looking to be a bartender or barista. What kind of business need besides skilled hands? Oh, bartenders and baristas need to have great customer service skills. So yes, you need to be able to make drinks. Yes, you need to be able to know what the menu is. And if someone comes in and asks for a Macallan, you're not giving them, just regular call drinks. And you need that, but you need great customer service skills. You need great problem solving and dispute resolution skills. I was a cocktail waitress once, long time ago. A group of guys came in and paid in all cash. It's a very funny story. And when they tipped me for the night, they tipped me with a diamond ring. The man had asked his girlfriend to marry him and she said no, and his friends were taking him all out to get him extremely drunk, so he forgot about how sad he was and they left the ring. But since they paid in cash, there was zero way to find out who they were. So, we had to have some dispute resolution skills and try and investigation skills, hunt these guys down, see if he wanted his ring. You'll have to connect with me on LinkedIn to find out what happened in the story with the ring and if the guy ever got it back. But it's a pretty good story. So I would say dispute resolution, customer service, good financial management. If you got a big order, you need to be able to do math in your head, like 16 beers times 860 plus, one of those premium margaritas, that's gonna be $127. So a lot of those tips. Let's see. What if I found a job that really suit me, but when I find out about the posting, the company mentioned they've stopped receiving applications? Okay, so that's a great question. Unfortunately, this means that they have been overwhelmed with applications and they're wanting to sort out the applications that they've received. And most likely they're going to fill the job from the group they've got. That doesn't mean that you should stop. That's where networking 100% plays a key role, because what you need to do is find someone else, not the hiring manager at that company, someone else that works there that can advocate for you and says, hey, I know you're not taking any more applications, but this is an amazing candidate and Demaria is going to crush it. You guys should really try and put her into the process. A lot of times that works. Sometimes it is actually too late and you just need to go find another great job that you love. Let's see, what else? Any networking advice for somebody that doesn't have good communication skills? Okay, so Katrina, I'm going to tell you, play around on Chat GPT and start asking all these Chat GPT and bot systems. How do you answer this application interview question? What's a good answer for these interview questions? Do not use those answers. They will sound like a Chat GPT came up for you, but it'll help you improve your communication skills because you'll get some examples of what other people are doing. Also, do test interviews and conversations with people. Pretend like you're talking to your friend. My dad was business executive in a hospital, but he was also, as most girls think about their dad, like a big nerd that pulled his socks up to his knees and wore, goofy looking tennis shoes, my perspective at 13. So for some reason in my head, when I grew up and started interacting with executives, I always remembered that they're just like my dad, and they go home at night and their kids make fun of them. And, they're probably silly, kind of funny dads too. And I never kind of got into a position where I was nervous with them. So, try and think about people as just individuals, because everyone just really is just like me and you. We've all got, our own challenges and opportunities. Any preference for Gen Zers? Given the advice or given the preference for Gen Zs, any advice for boomers? Yeah, the job market is dying for boomers. Are you kidding? Who in the world is going to come in and help nurture the next generation of leaders? I think, it's a very dynamic market for boomers out there as well. If you find the right companies and you come in with the right angle, you are able to come in and do an impeccable job because you've had years of history and experience, and you've got a lot of life lessons, and you'll be an incredibly good mentor and supporter for the next group of leaders. And companies are always looking for people who can do more. So you coming in, you'll add a tremendous amount of value to their culture. And I think that's a good angle to use. All right, we got 3 minutes left. Any other questions?
You can either put it in the chat or unmute at this point and just ask your question, whatever you're more comfortable with. Come on, guys, great opportunity. I think you've done a tremendous job, Jeannie. That's the problem. You've answered it.
I'm good. I know everyone will have 1,000 questions when you
Hi.
start applying for jobs.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, is it okay if I speak, or should I just okay? So I was just thinking that how can I find a courage to talk to people and ask, can you give me can I give you my resume? I have met many people, I have networked a lot, but then for me to ask a person, hey, you know what, can you forward my resume to your company, the company that you work for? It takes a lot of courage for me to ask, and I feel like a bit embarrassed, even though I need it. So
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm going to take you back to this screen here, and I'm going to suggest this whole right-hand side. Literally, you are not alone. Every single person is looking for a job right now, it seems like. So what you should know is, by you asking, hey, can I send you my resume, that you're one of many people that are asking it. You've got to try it. And after you try it a few times and people say, sure, I'll see what I can do, you'll start to feel a little easier and better about it. It's like when you're at that party by yourself and you have to get the courage to walk up and say hi to a group of people you don't know. It's very scary in the beginning, but just got to jump in there and try it.
Anyone else? We have about a minute.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, perfect. I apologize if you hear any construction sounds in the background. It's been a fun time. On that same line, I was wondering how you would approach kind of cold calling a connection you may have but haven't talked to in a while. Like, for example, I graduated from PACE a couple of years ago now, and like all of these professors could be very useful networking resources. I'm just not sure how to go about approaching them. Like, hey, I haven't talked to you in 2 years, but hey, you got a job for me?
Yeah. So I would start. I mean, look, if you're in the dating world, you don't sit down at that first date and say, hey, hi, so do you want to get married at the end of this? Do you think maybe? So it's the same thing with jobs. So the first message typically is, would love to reconnect. Most people know that when they see a message, hey, would love to reconnect, that it means there's a reason that you want to reconnect. So if they respond and say, sure, that also means they know that there's a reason that you're connecting. They're expecting you to ask for something. They might not know what it is, but they're going to want to see what it is. So I would say, I reconnect. I've, been having a great time, looking for a new job, would love to brainstorm. So a lot of people started asking not by, hey, can you help me find a job? Because that puts people on the spot. And like, truly, if Terry called me right now and said, hey, can you help me find a job? My answer is going to be like, maybe, but but if she said, hey, can you help me brainstorm? I've been looking for this kind of job. I've been thinking about this. I guarantee you, maybe we talk right then, or we set up more time. I guarantee you by the end of our call, I might have 3 or 4, between the two of us, we would come up with 3 or 4 different ideas. Oh, maybe, that other woman named Terry, I just was talking to her. She might know of something. So I might not be able to help Terry directly, but I might know somebody who would. And that's how the networking game works. You get introduced to somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. But I'd start out with, hey, I would love to reconnect, which means I need something from you. And then follow it up with, hey, would you mind brainstorming with me? Here's what I'm looking for, which means I need your help. And I don't know if you're going to have something directly for me. And for older teachers, not older meaning age, but for teachers that you've had in the past, it might even be, you might end up on that brainstorming with them being a reference to you, or with them, writing a testimonial for your LinkedIn or something else. So it doesn't always end up with a job, but it gets you pieces that you need to get there.
Well, Jeannie, on behalf of everyone on this call on Pace University, thank you so much. This has been enlightening. I've been taking notes for the past hour to add to my arsenal of things that I discussed with students and with alumni. So I can't thank you enough, and really appreciate everyone on this call taking the hour out of their day as well to join. So
yeah, absolutely. And there was one more question that came up. I just want to answer really quickly. Someone said, how do you connect with recruiters? Same way you connect with everybody else. Hey, I'm looking for a career in marketing, publishing, finance, whatever. Can you connect me with the right person in your recruiting office that helps those types of job searches? Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you again.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Look forward to
Bye-bye.
talking with you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.